There are loves that seem like fate, but a single small event can shatter everything. I loved and trusted that man with all my sincerity until 2 red lines appeared on the pregnancy test. From that moment, everything changed. Should I hold on to a marriage without love, or accept raising a child alone with fear and hope? Perhaps everyone has, at least once in their life, believed in love, believed that if they loved sincerely enough, they would be reciprocated in kind. I believed that too when I met him. We met naturally, without much drama or challenge from the start. Everything came gently, warmly, like a perfectly fitting embrace on unsteady days. With him, for the first time, I felt I wanted to commit long-term, to build a home together, even though we'd only been together for about 5 months. 5 months isn't long, but it's enough for a girl to open her heart after past hurts. I loved him without calculation, holding nothing back. I placed my trust in his gentle gaze, in the tight grip of his hand, in his promise of one day we'll have kids, a home. And then, it was that unborn child that became the turning point, changing everything. I found out I was pregnant on an uneasy afternoon. Holding the test with 2 lines in my hand, I was both trembling with fear and filled with hope. Fear, because I knew things wouldn't be simple anymore, but hope, because I thought, if 2 people truly love each other and try together, what can't we overcome? I told him the news, carrying both worry and anticipation for a tight hug, a gentle word of comfort. But what I got was a terrifying, prolonged silence. He didn't say much, just looked at me and turned away. He was no longer the man who asked if I'd eaten, who held me for ages when I was tired. In the days that followed, instead of sitting down to talk, to plan for the future, I only saw a man growing more distant each day. Texts became sparse, calls dwindled, the warmth vanished as if it had never existed. I began to feel like I was walking a 2-person path alone. His every word, every glance, made me feel like a burden. He started snapping at trivial things, as if waiting for me to slip up so he could point fingers. And me, I stayed silent. Not because I didn't want to speak, but because I didn't know what to say when my heart was slowly breaking. I'm not sure if he ever truly loved me, but one thing I know for certain, from the moment he learned I was pregnant, that love, if it ever existed, gave way to coldness and indifference. And I began to wonder, are some loves only beautiful when they don't yet face the weight of responsibility? From the moment I told him I was pregnant, he became a completely different person. The man who used to text first, call to check in, and care about whether I was happy or sad, healthy or tired, was gone. Now even a simple, "Are you okay?" felt like a luxury. He stopped checking in, stopped counting down the days to see me like he used to. The affectionate gestures that once made me believe he was the man I could rely on for life vanished without a trace. The silence between us was no longer the comfortable quiet of 2 people in love. It became a chasm neither of us wanted to cross. I tried to hold on to what little remained with gentleness, with tears, with swallowing my anger, but the more I tried, the further I pushed him away. He grew irritated when I wanted to talk. He snapped when I asked, "Do you still love me?" He threw out bitter words. "You're making everything complicated." Then he turned his back, leaving me sitting there with 1,000 unanswered questions. That indifference hurt more than any breakup could. There were no big fights, no heated conflicts, just a slow, gnawing coldness that wore me down day by day. He didn't need to say, "I don't love you anymore." His actions said it clearly enough. I wished that if he no longer cared, he'd just say it so I could walk away. But no. He chose silence, avoidance, leaving me to bear the pain and figure it out on my own. Some days I was so exhausted, I just wanted him to take my hand and say, "Don't worry, I'm here." Instead, I got irritation, averted eyes, and comments like, "You're too much." I wondered, is a pregnant woman really so fragile? And when the man she loves turns away, does she become so weak that she must learn a strength she never knew she had? I'm not angry at him for falling out of love. You can't force feelings. But I'm angry that he abandoned me when I needed him most. True love isn't in the promises made when things are calm. It's in staying through the storms. And he, the man who promised we'd face everything together, is now just a cold shadow passing through my life, leaving behind a woman trying to hold on to something that no longer exists. The more time passes, the clearer it becomes. The love I believed in and nurtured is fading, not for any specific reason, but because of an endless, creeping indifference. When I look at him now, I no longer see the man who made my heart flutter. The small acts of care, the gentle looks, the hugs when I was sad, they're just memories now. I'm living in a relationship where I feel like a stranger. I used to think that if I was patient enough, gentle enough, he'd realize and come back to me like before. But his silence isn't temporary. It's a clear sign he's slowly exiting my life. He just hasn't said it out loud. I feel his irritation every time I try to start a conversation. It's like my presence exhausts him. He doesn't listen to what I say. Sometimes I barely finish speaking before he turns away, as if my words are nothing but a passing breeze. When I'm sad, he's silent. When I'm tired, he blames me. When I cry, he turns away. It hurts to see myself become a burden in the eyes of the man who once loved me. Some nights lying beside him, I feel utterly alone. The coldness isn't from the air. It's from his apathy, his indifference. I've asked myself, did I do something wrong? But then I realized my only mistake was believing too much in someone not mature enough to handle responsibility. The promises of a future together, a little home, children's laughter, evening walks hand in hand, are now just echoes in my memory alone. He no longer mentions them. I don't dare ask, afraid his silence will confirm they were just dreams. The more I try, the more I realize I'm clinging to a closed door. I feel lost, empty, and worst of all, invisible. Sometimes I wonder, how can anyone feel so lonely next to the person they love? But then I understand. Love can't exist if it's one-sided. A relationship needs two people to nurture it, and now I'm carrying his share alone. I'm no longer the girl he cherished. I'm just a pregnant woman trying to hold together something that's already broken. In the very relationship that once brought me hope and trust, I've become an outsider, voiceless, without a place, no longer heard. It's just me, with a weary heart and unanswered questions about a love that once felt so real, but is now so distant. When a woman starts to feel like an outsider in her own relationship, it's not just a sign of a breakdown. It's a wake-up call for a difficult choice ahead. I've tried so hard to hold on, to hope, to not give up. But the more I try, the lonelier I feel. And at some point, I have to face the truth. The man I trusted no longer wants to walk this path with me. I stand at a crossroads, neither path easy. One is to close my eyes and marry a man my heart no longer trusts. The other is to become a single mother, bravely raising my child alone. Both choices fill me with confusion and fear. I'm afraid of spending my life with someone cold and indifferent, waking up each morning telling myself, just endure one more day. But I'm also afraid I won't be strong enough to be a single mom, facing months of being both mother and father, bracing against judgment, and navigating material and emotional hardships. I've asked myself 100 times, if we marry, will he change? Will he feel fatherly love when the baby is born and grow up? But the answers are always hazy. A man who can't listen to me during these months of pregnancy, can he be a reliable partner when I give birth, when the child is sick, when I'm exhausted? Or will I face the pain of abandonment within my own marriage? If I choose the path of single motherhood, I know it will be a challenging journey. I'll have to learn to do everything alone, from prenatal visits to childbirth, to long nights singing lullabies with a trembling, tired voice. I'll lack a hand to hold when I'm weak, but at least I won't have to pretend I'm happy. I won't have to live in a silent, cold house where love died long ago, but we still play the roles of husband and wife for the sake of responsibility. I don't know if I'm strong enough. I don't know how my child will grow up without a father's presence. But one thing I know for sure, I don't want my child to grow up in a family where the father is present but his heart is absent. I'd rather be a single mom full of fear than a wife full of tears in a loveless marriage. At this crossroads, I'm not just choosing for myself. I'm choosing for the tiny life growing inside me. After all the torment, fear, and sleepless nights, I've come to understand that life doesn't wait for you to be strong enough before throwing challenges your way. Sometimes, strength doesn't come from readiness, but from moments when there's no way back. I don't need to be certain of everything or become a superhero to be a single mom. I just need the courage to choose what's right for my child and myself. And if I must choose, I choose a solitary but free journey over a lifetime of wasting away in a relationship that drains my heart. I know there will be days when I feel empty, watching complete families. There will be moments of sadness when I attend parent-teacher meetings alone or see other children in their father's arms. But I also know my child won't grow up in indifference, arguments, or cold glances between parents. They'll grow up in a home full of love, even if it comes from just one person, one who's willing to sacrifice everything for them. I've also come to realize that being a single mom isn't a burden, but a challenge to discover myself. I may be exhausted, I may stumble, I may cry from helplessness at times, but my child is the reason I'll get back up, the motivation to keep going each day. I'm no longer living just for myself, but for the little life growing inside me. They are the only light that keeps me from giving up. I don't need a man to prove I'm worthy of love. I don't need a loveless marriage just to have the title of wife. I need peace in my soul, respect, and genuine love. And if that doesn't come from the man who promised to walk with me to the end, then I'll give it to myself and my child. I know this path will be full of thorns, but every day I remind myself it's better to be brave and choose once than to live a lifetime regretting a choice made with closed eyes trapped in loneliness and pain. I choose to walk away from a dead love to create a new life, imperfect, but full of love and self-respect. If someone asks me if I regret it, I'll say no, because from this moment on, I'm not just living for myself, but for a little soul who deserves the best start, even without a father, but never without love.